Close your eyes, and let your breathing slow. In and out, steady and calm. Tonight, we travel to a city that once felt like the center of the world. Ancient Rome. Not the Rome of marble postcards. Not the Rome of quick facts. But the Rome you could live inside, with tired feet, warm air, and lantern smoke drifting through narrow streets. Imagine arriving before sunrise. The sky is still dark, but the city is already awake in small ways. A door opens with a wooden groan. Someone coughs behind a wall. A dog shakes itself and scratches at the ground. You walk on stone that has been walked for generations. Rome is not quiet even in the early hours. It holds too many people, too many lives pressed close together. Some sleep in cramped rooms above workshops. Some sleep in courtyards. Some never truly sleep, because their work begins when others rest. Ahead, the outline of the city is heavy and layered. Walls, arches, columns, rooftops like dark waves. A faint smell reaches you. Smoke from cooking fires. Old stone warmed by yesterday's sun. And, deep underneath, a hint of dampness from the river. The Tiber. In Rome, the river is not just water. It is a working artery. It carries barges, fish, mud, rumors, and the smell of the world beyond the city. As the first light begins to grow, you hear footsteps, fast, purposeful. A baker's helper passes you carrying a basket covered with cloth. The bread inside is still warm. You can smell it, simple and comforting. Somewhere nearby, a man is sweeping the front of a shop. His broom makes a soft rasp on stone. He pauses to spit dust from his mouth, then keeps going. Rome wakes in routines. And if you lived here, these routines would become your calendar. The sound of carts in the morning. The crowds by midday. The quieter streets late at night. The cycle repeating, until you no longer notice it. You turn a corner and see a long street opening ahead. Even in dim light, you can sense Rome's architecture, built to impress, built to last, built to remind you who is in charge. Arches that frame the road like gateways. Walls that rise with confidence. Stones fitted by hands that expected the city to endure. You walk slowly, letting the city reveal itself. A small shrine sits in a niche along a wall. A tiny lamp burns there, the flame trembling. Someone has left a coin. A bit of flour. A quiet request for protection. In Rome, faith lives beside daily life. It does not wait for special occasions. It sits at street corners and doorways, watching. The sky becomes a softer shade of gray. Soon the city will flood with voices. But right now, Rome is in that gentle moment between night and day. A moment that feels almost private, even in a crowded world. And you keep walking, deeper into the waking city. Morning comes quickly now. The light turns pale gold and slides along rooftops. Shadows begin to pull back into corners. You pass a fountain where people gather with jugs. Water is precious. It is carried, poured, argued over. A woman lifts a container with practiced strength. A child watches, trying to imitate the posture of adulthood. Above the fountain, the stone is stained from years of splashing. The city drinks every day. You smell more bread as you move. A bakery opens its front shutters. Warm air rolls out, thick with yeast and smoke. Loaves sit in rows like small domes, browned and cracked. A worker pulls one apart to check the inside, then nods. People buy quickly. Bread is not just food here. It is stability. It is the difference between a calm household and an anxious one. You notice how many people are already on the streets. Porters, straining under bundles. Shopkeepers, setting out goods. Men in plain tunics, moving like they have no time to waste. A few wealthier figures, walking with slower confidence, followed by servants who carry the weight. Rome is a city of layers. Some live in spacious homes with courtyards and fountains. Many live in tall apartment buildings, insulae, where rooms stack above one another, narrow and crowded. If you lived high up in an insula, you would climb stairs every day. You would hear your neighbors breathe through thin walls. You would smell their cooking. You would know their arguments, their laughter, their grief. In the street, a cart rattles past. Wood wheels knock against stone, clack, clack, clack. The driver calls out, warning people to step aside. A donkey flicks its ears and keeps moving. Rome's soundscape is constant. Metal striking in a workshop. Shouts from cellars. Feet, 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 always feet. As you walk, you pass small stands offering simple breakfast. Olives. Cheese. Fruit when it is in season. A thin cup of wine mixed with water. A man stands near a wall, chewing slowly, watching the street like he is reading it. In a city like this, you learn to read movement. To recognize danger before it reaches you. To spot opportunity before it passes. You catch a glimpse of an official notice posted in a public place. Not everyone can read. Those who can become translators for those who cannot. A small crowd forms. Someone reads aloud. A few people mutter under their breath. Power in Rome is often written. Posted. Announced. Made permanent by ink and stone. The morning grows louder. And you feel it, that sense that Rome is not simply waking. It is building momentum. As if the city is a great machine, and every person is a moving part. By mid-morning, you reach the markets. Here, Rome becomes thick with voices. A seller calls out the quality of his fish. Another praises the sweetness of figs. A woman argues over the price of onions. A man laughs, exaggerating a story to impress a friend. The air is crowded with smells. Garlic. Herbs crushed under fingers. Leather. Sweat. Smoke from cooking fires. And always, stone warming under the sun. You move between stalls. Baskets of grain. Jars of oil. Cloth folded in careful stacks. Cheap pottery, next to expensive glass. You notice the way people touch things. A buyer presses fruit gently, testing softness. A cook smells herbs before paying. A merchant lifts a fabric to the light, checking weave and color. In Rome, money is not only coins. It is knowledge. It is reputation. It is the ability to bargain without losing face. A boy darts through the crowd. He is quick, thin, trained by necessity. He slips between legs and baskets like water. You keep your hand near your purse, not paranoid, just sensible. Because a market teaches you caution. But it also teaches you belonging. If you lived in Rome, you would come here often. You would know which seller cheats. Which one gives a fair measure. Which one remembers your name. You might even have your own small ritual. The same stall, the same greeting, the same exchange. A man nearby sells hot food from a small portable setup. Something fried and salty. He hands it over quickly, taking coins with fingers that look permanently stained by oil. People eat while standing, talking at the same time. No one wastes stillness. You pass a corner where a man offers small charms and amulets. Protection from illness. Luck in business. Safety for travelers. A charm for love. Some people scoff. Some buy anyway. In a world without certainty, even a small object can feel like control. As you move on, you see something that defines Rome. Public life. So much is done outdoors. Business discussed in doorways. Arguments held in the street. News traded in passing. Friendships built on repeated encounters in the same places. The market is not only commerce. It is information. A rumor from the frontier. A scandal involving a local official. A new tax. A shipment delayed. A man arrested. A family celebrating. Rome is always talking to itself. And if you lived here, you would learn to listen, even when you pretend not to. Now you approach the Forum. Even if you have never seen it, you can feel its importance. The street opens. The space changes. Buildings here seem to stand straighter. Columns rise like statements. Stairs lead upward as if inviting you to look, then reminding you to stay in your place. The Forum is where Rome performs itself. You see men in better clothing moving with measured confidence. You see petitioners waiting, faces tense. You see messengers weaving between groups. A speaker stands near a gathering. His voice is controlled, practiced. He raises his hand at the right moments. He pauses to let the crowd react. He knows how to shape attention. In Rome, words can be a weapon. They can open doors. They can destroy reputations. They can protect you, or expose you. You look around and notice inscriptions. Names carved into stone. Achievements recorded. A claim of permanence. Stone is authority. Because stone suggests that what is written cannot be argued with. It is simply there, watching. And yet, human life moves beneath it, messy and ordinary. A man trips slightly on a step and curses under his breath. Two friends laugh at a private joke. A vendor sells water to thirsty passers-by. History is not only grand scenes. It is also small moments that happen in the shadow of grandness. You imagine living here. Maybe you are a clerk, carrying documents from one office to another. Maybe you are a craftsman, hoping a wealthy patron will notice your work. Maybe you are a soldier on leave, staring at monuments you fought to protect. Maybe you are enslaved, sent on errands for someone who owns your time. Rome contains all these lives at once. The sun climbs higher. Heat gathers. And you understand why Rome's day is structured around shade. Arcades. Porticos. Overhangs. People drift into shadow the way animals drift toward water. You pass beneath a line of columns and feel the temperature soften. Your shoulders relax without you noticing. Even in ancient times, comfort mattered. But comfort had a cost. Some people bought comfort with coins. Others paid with labor. The Forum remains behind you as you continue walking. And the city's mood shifts again, less formal, more intimate. Because next, you approach one of Rome's most defining social spaces. The baths. The bathhouse is alive long before you enter. You hear it first. Echoing voices. Splashes. Footsteps on wet stone. A low rumble of conversation that feels almost like music. When you step inside, the air changes. Warmer. Damp. Scented with oil and steam. Light filters through high openings and lands in soft beams. Steam catches it, making the room feel dreamlike. People move through the baths in stages. Some sit and talk in the warm rooms. Some sweat in hotter rooms. Some rinse in cooler pools. This is not only about cleanliness. It is about society. Men discuss business while scraping oil from their skin. Friends argue politics while soaking. A young man tries to impress an older one with clever remarks. Someone laughs too loudly, and others glance over. Even here, Rome has hierarchy. Wealthy patrons have attendants. They bring towels, oils, perfumes. They watch quietly. Others come alone, carrying their own small items, blending into the crowd. And beneath everything, often unnoticed, are workers who keep the baths functioning. They carry water. They maintain fires. They scrub floors. They move through the background like shadows. The comfort of the city rests on invisible effort. You step through a corridor and feel the heat wrap around you. Your muscles loosen. Your thoughts soften. You imagine this as part of your routine. In the afternoon, after work, you come here. You wash away dust. You hear news. You trade small jokes with acquaintances. You sit quietly, listening to the city speak. In a world without screens, the baths are a network. A rumor here becomes certainty somewhere else. A complaint becomes a plan. A compliment becomes a connection. You begin to understand Rome's social intelligence. It is not only built from laws and armies. It is built from rooms like this, where people gather, and the city circulates through them. Eventually, you step back outside. The air feels cooler against damp skin. The sun is beginning to angle slightly. The afternoon is moving toward evening. And the city is preparing for its next rhythm. You walk into residential streets. Here, Rome becomes more personal. The grand public spaces fade behind you. The streets narrow. The buildings lean closer together. You pass doorways that reveal glimpses of interior life. A courtyard with a small garden. A basin of water catching light. A dog sleeping in shade. A woman hanging cloth to dry. Then you turn another corner and see a tall insula. Windows stacked above one another. Balconies with worn railings. Clothes draped to dry like flags. A child leans out, watching the street. Somewhere above, you hear an argument. Then a quieter voice, then a sigh. Life is close here. If you lived in an insula, you might know your neighbor's stories without wanting to. You would hear sickness through walls. You would hear laughter. You would hear prayers whispered into darkness. You pass a small workshop where a craftsman repairs sandals. He sits low, hands moving with practiced speed. He barely looks up. People bring broken things. He makes them usable again. A quiet form of power. In another doorway, you see a shrine to household spirits. Simple. Clean. Tended. Someone has left a small offering. In Rome, religion is not only temples. It is also home. A gesture before a meal. A lamp lit for protection. A whispered request for safety. You smell cooking now. Onions sizzling. Herbs. Oil heating. A stew simmering, thick and comforting. In wealthy homes, dinner might be elaborate. Multiple courses. Fruit. Wine. Desserts with honey. In poorer homes, dinner might be bread and beans. But in both places, the meaning is the same. Evening food says, "We survived today." You watch a family eating in a doorway. They share from one bowl. Someone tears bread and hands it to a smaller hand. A child talks too loudly and is gently corrected, then someone smiles anyway. Rome is often described as powerful. But power is not what most people feel day to day. Most people feel fatigue. Hunger. Hope. Routine. The sun continues to lower. The light becomes warmer, more forgiving. And the city begins to soften. As late afternoon moves toward dusk, you pass temples and shrines. Some are grand, built to impress. Tall steps. Heavy columns. Stone that seems to hold the sky. Others are small, tucked into corners. A niche with a figure inside. A lamp flickering. A few coins at the base. People stop briefly. A touch of fingers to lips. A murmured request. Then they continue walking as if nothing happened. Because faith in Rome is woven into habit. Not always dramatic. Often practical. Protection from illness. Safe birth for a child. A good outcome in a dispute. A loved one returning from war. You notice the way light changes now. The sun sits lower. Shadows lengthen. Warm gold becomes amber. And lamps begin to appear. One at a doorway. One in a shop. One carried by a passerby. The city becomes a constellation of small flames. You feel the temperature drop slightly. A breeze moves through the street, carrying scents, smoke, food, a hint of damp stone. People's behavior shifts. Some hurry home. Some gather with friends. Some head toward taverns and late-night food sellers. A street musician plays a simple melody. A flute, thin and bright. A drum, steady and quiet. The sound travels farther at dusk. It mixes with footsteps, with distant laughter, with the occasional call of a guard. Rome is transitioning. Daytime Rome is commerce and labor. Evening Rome is conversation and rest. Nighttime Rome is something else. Still alive, but more cautious. You walk past a tavern with its door open. Warm noise spills out. Men talking loudly, wine cups lifted. Someone telling a story, making it bigger with each sentence. Someone else challenging him, laughing. Outside, a figure stands in shadow, watching the flow of people. Not everyone comes to the night for comfort. Some come for opportunity. The light continues to fade. And you feel the city preparing for darkness, the way the body prepares for sleep. Darkness arrives like ink spreading through water. The last sunlight slips away from rooftops. The sky turns deep blue, then darker. Lamps tremble along the main roads, small circles of safety in a large shadow. You walk with calm awareness. At night, people move differently. They keep to better lit streets. They hold bags closer. They look ahead more than they look around. You pass a group standing near a corner. They talk quietly, watching the road. They are not necessarily dangerous. But the possibility exists, and everyone feels it. A woman steps around them without making eye contact. A man adjusts his cloak and keeps walking. A pair of friends move a little closer together. A guard appears farther down the street. The group becomes quieter. Authority has a shape at night. In the distance, you hear a bell. Not a modern bell, not precise. A dull, practical sound marking time. You pass shops that sell hot food late. Bread. Chickpeas. Small fried cakes. Warm wine diluted with water. People buy and eat quickly. Behind doors, you hear private life. A baby crying. A cough that sounds too deep. A couple murmuring, then silence. In Rome, walls hold many stories. You look up and see the moon between rooftops. It makes the stone look pale. For a moment, the city feels older than human life. As if it has always been here. As if it will continue long after individual footsteps fade. You keep walking. And the night grows quieter in some streets, louder in others. Because Rome never sleeps fully. It only shifts its energy from one place to another. Now the city is fully in its evening rhythm. In many homes, dinner is finishing. You smell the last of cooking smoke. You hear bowls being set down. You hear small voices turning softer with tiredness. On the streets, the crowd is different than midday. Fewer workers hauling loads. More people strolling. More conversation. In a tavern, laughter rises and falls like a wave. Someone claps another on the shoulder. Someone argues politics with confidence, even if he knows little. Someone sings a short phrase that others repeat. Wine is poured, often mixed with water. Strong wine makes trouble come faster, and people here know it. Still, trouble sometimes comes anyway. A drunk voice becomes sharp. A hand gesture becomes an insult. A friend pulls another back, calming him. Then laughter returns. Rome is skilled at absorbing conflict. It has had centuries of practice. You pass a late-night vendor selling food near a lamplight. The vendor's face is tired but alert. Night work requires attention. A customer counts coins slowly, squinting. The vendor waits without impatience. He has seen every kind of person. You keep walking and feel the air cool more. The stone beneath your feet releases the day's heat gradually. In the distance, you hear a cart moving late, the sound hollow and lonely. You realize how different Rome feels now. In daylight, it is a machine. At night, it is a living creature, breathing slower. And you, walking through it, begin to slow too. Your mind starts to loosen. Your thoughts become softer around the edges. The night does that. It makes everything less sharp, less urgent. You look up again and see smoke rising from somewhere, thin and pale in moonlight. You think of the many people settling into sleep. And the many who cannot. Rome holds both. You drift toward the river. The streets near the Tiber feel different. The air is damper. Cooler. It carries a smell of mud and water and old wood. You hear the river before you see it. A slow movement. A low, constant presence. When you reach the edge, the water looks nearly black. It reflects the few lights along the bank in broken lines. The reflection trembles with each small current. You imagine barges tied up nearby. Wood creaking softly. Rope tapping against posts. Men speaking in low voices. The river is a working thing even at night. It carries supplies. It carries waste. It carries the city's secret life. If you lived in Rome, you would learn which areas by the river feel safe. And which do not. You would learn the smell of flood season. You would learn the sound of water rising. The Tiber is not romantic. It is necessary. A few figures stand near the bank. Hard to read in the dark. They talk quietly, then separate, each disappearing into a different street. You watch them go. Night turns everyone into a silhouette. The river keeps moving. And you feel how ancient cities are shaped by water. Water brings trade. Water brings disease. Water brings life. Water brings danger. Rome grew beside this river like a plant beside a source of power. As you stand there, you breathe in slowly. In, and out. The damp air cools your face. Your thoughts begin to slow more. Because water has that effect. It carries the mind outward, away from tight concerns. You stay for a while, listening. Then you turn back toward the city. It is late now. In some streets, Rome is quiet enough that your footsteps feel loud. In others, you still hear laughter and music, as if the city refuses to let go of the day. But overall, the energy is settling. Like a fire turning into coals. You walk past a courtyard where a lamp burns low. The flame is small. The light is gentle. It paints stone with warm amber. Somewhere behind a wall, a person speaks softly. A response comes even softer. Then silence. You imagine the city from above. Roofs stacked. Streets winding. Small lights scattered like stars. A few guards moving in slow patrols. A few workers still awake. A few people staring into darkness, thinking thoughts they cannot escape. Rome contains all of it. And for a moment, you feel something that is both heavy and calming. Most of history was lived like this. Not in dramatic speeches. Not in famous battles. But in tired evenings. In shared bread. In whispered conversations. In the ordinary struggle to make tomorrow possible. Your breathing slows again. In, and out. Steady, quiet. The city becomes less distinct. Sounds blur into a single distant murmur. Your shoulders feel heavier in a pleasant way, like your body is choosing rest. You keep walking, but the walking becomes dreamlike. As if your feet are moving through memory rather than streets. Now imagine you are home. Not a perfect home. Not a silent home. A Roman home with stone and wood and simple light. A small lamp burns near the wall. The flame is steady enough to comfort you. Outside, Rome continues in the distance. A faint step. A far-off voice. A dog barking once, then stopping. You lie down. The air is cooler now. The day's heat has faded from the stone. Your breathing is slow. In and out. You picture the market stalls closed. Baskets stacked. Spices sealed. Voices gone. You picture the forum quiet, monuments watching the moon. You picture the bathhouse doors shut, the steam gone, the pools still. You picture the Tiber moving in darkness, patient and unstoppable. And you let the images drift. No effort. No need to hold them tightly. Rome can fade now. The city has carried its stories for thousands of nights. It can carry them tonight as well. Your thoughts become lighter. Your body becomes heavier. In and out. And when you are ready, sleep.